I used to feel guilty whenever I wasn't working. What's going on, guys? I'm Tim Russell from Game Dev Underground, and that's kind of what I want to talk about today, because I used to feel like this all the time. Whenever I wasn't working or I wasn't being productive, I would feel the sense of guilt, like I was supposed to be working all the time, like I was supposed to be making a difference, like there are other people out there getting ahead of me and I'm just sitting here doing nothing. Like, who am I to take time off to play video games or to do this stuff when I should be working? I should be working on my game. I should be doing stuff all the time. And I would feel guilty. I would feel this sense of like, it's real guilt. Like, I would legitimately feel bad. I would feel like I'm not good enough. I would feel so many different emotions like piled into one another, all because I wasn't working. And I thought about like where this came from, right? Like, I realized a lot of it had to do with my upbringing and me growing up, and my parents felt that way a lot. They always felt like they had to be working, had to be doing something. But American culture is kind of like that too. I don't know how it is in other places of the world, but there's this whole thing in America about like, you've got to be working all the time. You got to hustle or you're not going to make it. You got to work and do it. And on top of that, in the game industry, it's even worse, right? Like, you hear about all these companies that are like overworking their employees for crunch time. EA's getting sued for all kinds of stuff. Like, these big companies are pushing their employees more and more, and it turns into like, almost like, if you're not working 12, 16 hours a day, you're not good enough. You don't care. You're not a good employee. Shit's crazy, man. And having felt that way for a very long time, I can tell you it starts to wear on you. And if you feel this way, you got to be careful, because it produces a non-wavering sense of anxiety all the time. At least it did for me. And I just felt like this whenever I was out, whenever I was anywhere. I just felt like, I should be working. I should be working. No matter where I was, it was like a feeling in my chest, and I would go to bed and I would think about it like, I didn't get anything done today. I wasted the whole day having fun. How dare me? And it's just a really bad feeling. So a couple of things that I did to kind of solve this after I noticed it was happening was, first thing I did, and I talk about this in another video, but I realized that downtime was productive, right? Like, actually taking time off to do things is a good thing. Downtime is really important, especially to prevent burnout. And we go completely in depth in that on the burnout video, but essentially you've got to take time out of your head, right? Like, and if you have a problem getting out of your head, and you're always thinking like, I gotta be working, I gotta be doing this, you need to hang out with people, or you need to go do things that take you out of your head so that you're not constantly worrying. And you need to consciously remind yourself over and over again, hey, my downtime is productive to my project. That one helped me a lot. But second thing, and I think is even bigger than that I really kind of took in as part of my whole process here, was learning to value the process over the endpoint, the process over the goal. So for a long time I was like, I gotta get to finishing a game. And I think that's really, it's an important milestone, like especially when you haven't finished a game or something like that. And I'm a strong believer in that. I got a whole video called Finish a Damn Game. But at some point you have to understand that you are in this for the process, not for the goal. Because goals will always come and go, and every time you reach a goal, it doesn't give you anything extra. You're the same person you were before, and now you just move on to another goal. And that can be very damaging, especially with bigger goals. Like, I remember when I had this goal that I wanted to build a startup company and I wanted to sell it within 5 years. I wanted to do those two things, and I worked, and it ended up turning into like my marketing company, and I had built some proprietary technology that helps market, especially digital products. And when I sold it, it was just like this sense of now what? Like, you would think this would be some grandiose, like, oh, fuck yeah, let's party, let's go rent a boat, let's do some stupid shit. But it was just like, shit. Now what do I do? Like I thought that was impossible, and now it's done. So, and a similar thing happened when I finished a game too. When I finished my first game, and I talk about this again in the other video, but my game was like, it was such a big thing in my mind. It took me 10 years to actually finish a game. And when I finished it, I was like, okay, now what? Now what? So valuing the process, I think, is a lot more important than the end point, because the process will continue for eternity. The end point is just another step along the path, and you pass so many endpoints in your life that it doesn't get you anywhere. And now I'm not saying that goals are bad, right? I think goals are the reason that I got to where I wanted to go. They were the lighthouses in my destination, right? Like, I don't think I would have did anything with my company or my game if I didn't have those as goals to kind of direct me towards them. But valuing the process has taught me the beauty of consistency. And if you followed me for the past couple weeks, you know that every week, like clockwork, I make a video on Monday and I make an article on Wednesday. Recently, I've started doing videos every day. I'm consistent when I do things, because that always brings a much greater effect. Anything that you do, if you're just consistent and you learn to love the process, you can't go wrong. Goals can disappoint you, right? Like, you can miss them. You can get there and they're not as great as you thought. But if you learn to value the process, you'll always love what you're doing. And I think when it goes back to guilt specifically, when I learned to love the process, I didn't feel guilty for not working. Because if I was always focused on the goal, I feel like, oh, I should be working on it, I should be working on it, I should be doing it, I should be doing it. But when I just value the process, I can see, okay, Monday through Friday, I'm going to work on this process because it's something I love to do. Saturday, Sunday, I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to hang out. For a long time, I took Wednesdays off too. Like, and I would just, as long as you learn to value the process, I think it removes that feeling of guilt, because you don't have this looming deadline over your head. Now, I could be completely crazy and maybe no one else in the world feels this way, but that's how I felt and that's how I fixed it. So if you have ever felt guilty for not working, please leave a comment below and tell me your story. Whether you solved it or whether you didn't solve it, I would love to hear it, because I'm really interested in this kind of stuff. So once again, I'm Tim Ruswick. Until next time, I will see you guys in the next video.